Gata on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered, even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good afternoon, everybody. Please sit so that we can see each other and we can enjoy our time together this way. Yeah, you can scooch, like little bumper cars. Oh, my goodness. This session has a very particular quality to it. Doan Sensei and I were discussing a little bit in between times. And I just have to say that I just have the utmost respect for all of you and all of us for being here and engaging in this most wondrous and most difficult activity. This business about really getting to the bottom of what it means to be alive, what it means to die, what it means to live in freedom. It's no small thing to really uncover the truth of your own life. The gateway in has to do with settling down, really settling down. To really stop playing with the toys. Actually, for real. Know that they're toys, recognize that they're toys, and leave the toys alone for a while. Toys are fun. But you don't want to trade your life for engaging in toy play. Master Ta Hui, a seminal teacher in the Rinzai sect, 12th century teacher, had some very insightful ways of working with words. He said this. This is from his fourth letter. Do not grasp another's bow. Matters of worldly anxieties are like the links of a chain, joining together continuously without a break. Matters of worldly anxieties are like the links of a chain, joining together continuously without a break. Think of the chain. This link connects to that link, connects to this link, connects to that link. And from beginningless time, there's that chain that we have ponderously forged, and yet clutch to and cling to as if that chain would actually be of any use to you, as though it cared about you, as though it could do anything about anything. It's just a chain. Drop it. But it's difficult to drop. It feels like what we're supposed to do is carry around this big chain. It can almost feel like you're letting down the world by dropping the chain of anxiety. Like somehow I'm become one of those people who doesn't care, or will go completely off the rails. No, I must. This chain is who I am, says a deep part of ourselves. But of course, this is not so. Because you know that there have actually been, moments, perhaps brief, perhaps fleeting, when you actually kind of forget about the chain for a moment. Even just completely uninstructed worldling people out there flinging around between pleasure and pain, they'll forget about it for a while. The movie's good, the company's enjoyable, whatever, the pain is, you stub your toe and suddenly the universe is reduced to this one experience. But that's not enough. You can't have your circumstances distract you and call that doing it. That's not the real deal. That's not really getting the work done. There's another kind of freedom that's required. He goes on to say, because you have been habituated to these worldly anxieties since beginningless time, it is the point where they have become totally familiar. So totally familiar that we mistake that chain of anxiety for who we are. I am this problem, this issue, this situation. There's something very, reifying about it, substantiating about it. We kind of know, we think who we are and what the world means in light of all this trouble that we carry around. But it's a bad deal. He goes on to say, if you don't exert yourself to struggle with them, then as time goes on and on with you, unknowing and unaware, they will have entered deeply into you. And I think we can see that in a lot of our friends and loved ones and family members. There's some people in my life that their main window into the world, unfortunately, is Fox News and other extreme YouTube channels. That's scary. The flight and fight and the trigger of anxiety enters deeply and deeply, more and more each day. Difficult to even say where it begins or it ends and we begin, because there's no end to it. Seems to go unnoticed that as time goes on and one crisis resolves, another one is right there, fresh and new, ready. And it has been ever since. As fond as I am of communication and the internet and these things, is a real downside. You can import the entire world's problems in Technicolor right now and keep it strapped to your, eyes the whole day. And even without that, your brain is very capable of generating its own dramas. Just fine. Just fine. In fact, you're an expert. You are a virtuoso. You are a yo-yo ma of drama. Like Colin the professional. I got this. Here we sit in this amazing zendo with the falling leaves surrounding, good company, good food, space, and yet, right? I remember in my own personal training when I encountered sesshin, for whatever reason, the first one or two was just so natural. You know, I just stumbled into the thing and just like, you know, what, duck to water, fish to water, whatever, it was just delightful and wondrous, and it was just great, you know. And then you know, I left session feeling like I had never been so alive in all my life, and I was right. I was not wrong. I mean, sheer data, you know, what percentage of the day was I actually in touch with my life? It was vastly higher. But then I went to session again and again, and something changed where suddenly that ease, falling out of bed in the morning kind of relationship to it definitely changed. I stepped out of bed and fell up. What happened? Wait a minute. Why is this so difficult all of a sudden? And those initial consolations seemed like very far distant memories. And it was a pain in the ass. It was really tough. And I remember thinking to myself, why am I doing this? This sucks. This is really hard. It's like, I could be in Boston right now, like doing anything else. Literally. I mean, it made sense the first time or two because it was so sweet, you know. Beginner's luck, I think it was, but, you know, or maybe a little nod from my past lives to give me incentive to keep going, who knows. But it was not like that after a while. I thought, well, wait, aren't I supposed to just get better at this? And isn't this supposed to be just more and more wondrous? And like, no, that was not my experience. And I thought something was really wrong. And, you know, thank everything that is good that I didn't just say, I'm done. Because I could have, it was very reasonable, very cogent. I went a few times, it was nice, then it wasn't so nice, I moved on. That could have been. You know, the thought arose more than once. But something deeper than just moving towards pleasure and away from pain had begun to operate. Something else started asserting the direction of things. And somehow the challenges and the rigors, although disappointing, I didn't like it. That wasn't what I was really signing on for in my mind. But somehow it was exactly right. And the deepest part of me knew that. Thank goodness. This is really something that needs doing. And I think I was lucky because back then there was no internet to speak of. One couldn't find all kinds of horror stories about things and convince yourself. It was just, all I had was my own experience. There were a few books, but nothing much. And so I had to keep questioning into my experience. What exactly about this is so difficult? Is it really difficult? What is it? I'm just sitting there. What is going on? Can anybody relate to this question? Because that's a really good question. And then eventually it actually changed again to where retreat wasn't the hard thing. It was not being in retreat that was the hard thing. Because I really, at a certain later point in my training, I had punched through enough stuff that I just really wanted to keep doing that and let's get this thing done. This is real. But oh man, I've got to get back and get my master's degree going, or whatever it was at the time. And suddenly the thing was very different. But also a good thing to not just throw away your life. It's the other fantasy. Oh, I'll just sell everything and go live in the closet at the temple and just be in retreat all day and it'll be great. No, you can't, and no, it wouldn't. So this tempo that we have, this framing of coming into retreat, doing the deep work, actually paying attention to and being in full contact with our lives as they actually are, and then bringing that out into the karmic unfoldings. But we have to get some distance between ourselves, at least for a little while, and the externally obvious worldly anxiety machine. And so we do these ritual things. We have robes and we have forms and there's incense and bells and there's a structure. Lots of that. Because that helps us. In fact, it's necessary. And once you kind of, get your session legs together and you kind of learn how to do the form of it good enough, then you can really just settle in and just allow that schedule to hold you and allow every single moment that rises to be your teacher. Every single moment, whatever it is that comes up, that you contact, that contacts you, comes looking for you, is exactly right. I have the utmost confidence in this. Whatever it is that you really need to see is exactly what's coming up for you. Every time. And oftentimes it's like, ew, not this. I just want like the bliss and light part or the cool Zen master stuff, whatever that might be, or, I want the Jedi powers, but it's very down to earth, is it not? It's very, very right here, right now. And there can come a shift to where you stop thinking of yourself as a fixed person that's having experiences, judging them and ranking them and comparing them as though you're somehow separate and outside of your own life, a participant, observer as the stream of your life goes by. And instead, somehow we merge and realize that we are this life itself. We're not some separate person having a life. You are life. Now, what would you do to contact life? It seems a silly question. I mean, of course, maybe when you're dead, it's not. But here you are, fully alive. How do you contact it? A big part of it is learning how to work with this chain by chain by chain, link, this chain of worldly anxiety and concern. And every one of us has legitimate things to be actually concerned about. I'm not saying that we don't. If you're careful about it or honest about it, most of what gets your airtime doesn't rise to that level. It's mostly just white noise with a scary mask on it. But there are some real things to be concerned about. How do we actually engage with them? Because you become habituated to these worldly anxieties since beginningless time to the point where they become totally familiar. If you don't exert yourself to struggle with them, then as time goes on and on and on, time spent where you're just pulled along by the flow of the horror show, the pleasure and pain circus, keeping you drunk and bemused and terrified, stuck in that stupid house of mirrors. And as time goes on, if you don't start really paying attention to your mind can become trapped. Because you're good at it now. You've practiced it so much, knowingly or not. So as time goes on with you unknowing and unaware, they will have entered very deeply into you. Finally, he goes on to say, on the last day of your life, you won't be able to do anything about it. And this is true. There can come a point where it's actually too late. And if nothing else scares you, that ought to. That's a real one. None of us has infinite time here. We really don't want to waste the moments that we have. But what does it mean to not waste the moment? What does it look like? How the hell do I know that I'm not wasting these moments? After all, this sucks. This is tough. Is this really it? Or is it really it in the ice cream? How do I do it, right? Finally, on the last day of your life, you won't be able to do anything about it. There's a thing that I've needed to talk about a few times with folks in this retreat, and that's the karmic habit pattern energy. Okay, this is the approximal English translation. Karmic habit pattern energy. This jumble of words is pointing to the fact that the mind is like a stream, and it has causal and effective relationship, and that if you see a certain kind of way or practice a certain kind of thought, it has a karmic force of its own that seeks to perpetuate itself in your mind. This is why people can be so completely immune to facts. Because in their head, it's not possible. It's this. Because they've done this for so long. The mind is like it's got this groove, and it can't actually get out of the groove anymore. It's got nothing to do with being rational, sadly. How many beautifully, let us say, ably bodied young people who have peak health and vitality cannot get themselves to function? And how many people that have very challenged bodies would look at that person's health and say, my goodness, if I had that experience, how wondrous my life would be. If only I didn't have this and this and this, and let me pull out my list now. And yet that, let us say, that younger, vigorous person doesn't see it at all. It's not part of what they perceive. There are many teachings in the Dharma that say things like, sitting by the river dying of thirst. In the treasury room up to your chest claiming poverty. Having drunk 3 bottles of the finest wine, saying you've never had a taste. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, these analogies. Eventually, what I came to see in my experience was that the ease or the difficulty of sesshin actually had to do with my mind and my way of relating to what was going on. Because it was the same schedule every time. It was like the same place, it was the same schedule, the same things happened. Like, what was different? Maybe the content of a talk, you know? I mean, maybe, but I mean, the vast majority of what's happening is just ridiculously predictable, right? Why was it so different? Why this one lovely and this one crappy, and why? Because my mind was not clear. That's why. You know, I stumbled into a nice experience, and then I expected that again. And when it wasn't happening, I was intensely aware of this wasn't happening, and of course that helped. And on and on and on, you know? So, if you want to be able to avoid going wrong when you face the end of your life, then from now on, whenever you do anything, don't let yourself slip. If you go wrong in your present doings, it will be impossible not to go wrong when you're facing your death. And here the Master is saying that there's something that can be done. There's a practice that can happen, and it is a practice. And it is going upstream. The currents want you to go this way, and they always have. It's not just a feature of the internet and modern society. It's human mind. Way even back in the Buddhist time when everyone ate organic. Pollution was not an issue. The medicines were all natural. Still, the stream of suffering was just as virulent as ever. So what is this practice that he's talking about? It has to do, dear one, with really rejecting and purifying all transgressions. That little line from our 7-limb prayer here of the Bodhisattva. And it needs to be understood in the correct frame. This business of rejecting and purifying transgressions, it means don't play with the toys. Okay? I mean, really. It has never helped you, and it never will. It tricks you into thinking that it's helpful, but it is not. Of course, there are things that need to be done. Yes. There are discernments that need to happen. Yeah. There are difficult conversations waiting. No kidding. But that's not what I'm talking about. It's this karmic habit energy pattern of the mind that is really what you're spending time with at sesshin. Here you have the chance to strip away the light show and the freak show and the scary things and the wondrous things. Just let them all stop for a minute and just breathe, shall we? Be still. And I mean really still. As still as a body can be that's teeming with life and filled with doings. Still, be still in that. And pay attention. Really watch. really, really, really watch what's going on. And if you can, let go of the witness. Drop even that. These thoughts may rise, the dramas may play. That's not a problem. Just like we hear the siren outside the city now, it's fine. Just let the siren be the siren. Let the leaves be the leaves. Let the anxiety be the anxiety. Don't play with it. Don't savor it. Let it go. Realize your inherent perfection and give it life. This practice can function in any situation. And again, we all are in a situation. In fact, you could say you are a situation. There you are, you situation, you. But it can really function anywhere, in any place. I don't know how many of you know this, but we have a Sangha member who's in Ukraine right now, fighting the Russians. This is a person who will remain anonymous for safety reasons. A distance member who I don't think has ever been to Toledo, but a member of the Sangha. Been there half a year. They wrote to me, "Hi Roshi," we've been corresponding emails. "A while ago you got the class for Ango maybe to write poetry and share it. That practice stuck with me, and sometimes I find myself composing. I don't write them down, it seems off to do so. But I wrote one based on the other day. If you'd like to share it with the Sangha, perhaps? If not, it's okay. I don't know how far off the mark I am. I just feel that maybe writing these and sending them for the Sangha will help me feel connected." "An enemy position behind the graveyard," the lady said, "so we went to see. The remains of a car shredded by a mine, our only warning that we'd driven far enough. The scent of death on the air as we walked past the tangled metal reaching for the sunset clouds. Walking through the graveyard, every sense on alert as the light falls. I look for disturbed earth, the sign of more minds. As I commit to each step, I let go. Worrying won't change anything. Breathing in and out, I am here." A tangled piece of metal from the car lies upon a fresh burial mound amidst the wilting funeral flowers. Thank you for your teaching. It sustains me even here when there's sometimes no light to be seen. So there are real dramas. There are real life and death situations. We're not here just blissing out, pretending it's not happening. But don't mistake what it is to be alive, what it is to be you, and playing with that chain of anxiety, that chain of suffering that has bound you since beginningless time. Cast the damn thing off. Be done with it. I promise you, you won't lose anything of value. I'll close with a koan that Dogen mentions in his Shobogenzo. Huike spoke of mind, spoke of essence in various ways, but could not merge with realization for a long time. This is Bodhidharma's successor, okay? Also a veteran, one who saw combat and suffered its perils. So Huike spoke of mind, he spoke of essence in various ways, but he could not merge with realization for a very long time. But one day, he got it, all of a sudden. So he said to Bodhidharma, "Now I have put all the conditions to rest for the first time." I've put all conditions to rest for the first time. Knowing that Huike had had realization, Bodhidharma did not push him further. He only said, "So, have you attained annihilation?" I've put down all conditions. I've put all the conditions to rest for the first time. So, have you attained annihilation? Have you attained no self? Have you attained emptiness? Huike says, no, I haven't. Good. So then Bodhidharma said, "So, what is your experience?" Huike said, "It is always so clear that I cannot explain it. It's so clear that I can't explain it. It's so goddamn here, I can't say a thing about it." Bodhidharma then said, "This is the essential mind transmitted by all Buddhas and ancestors from the past. You have now attained it. Guard it well." That now you have received guard well line is on the back of our transmission Raksu. Written in the hand of my teacher, copied from the hand of his teacher. And Jiyu Kennett Roshi copied it from the hand of her teacher, on and back. So you can actually do this. It can happen. So have you put conditions to rest? Or are you still stuck in the mirror house? Watch very carefully. Understand what is unwholesome to be unwholesome and drop it. Like right now. Just let go of it. And further, understand what wisdom is and let it bloom. If you need a little help in this, we got you. Manjushri is here. Need a little wisdom? I only see 4 incense sticks there. But outranking Manjushri, apparently, we have Kuan Yin. Because on the Kuan Yin side, we have 6 incense sticks. So apparently y'all need a little more compassion than wisdom, and I can see why. First things first, after all, right? But really, you're not in this alone. This ponderous chain forged link by link. You let it go, yes, but also there's a team to help. Not just your fellows here in the Zendo helping this all actually happen, not just the teachers that we can interact with as humans, but actually, really Manjushri, for real. And don't be afraid to make actual expression of devotion. It's very helpful. It can be. It's a part of our human experience. And Kuan Yin, Tara, this goddess energy that's so powerful you can't even really say anything about it. Enlist their help. They'll help. They will. This place is surrounded by a great many helping qualities and entities and energies and everything else. Align yourself with them. Let them help you. But above all, do the work. Dig in and really give life to your life. May it be so.
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The I vow to imbibe